Uber / taxi drivers of Reddit, what is your best not safe for work story so far? Hi Reddit guys, subscribe now to make me happy. Someone ate in my car. It looked exactly like the poop emoji. She did it through her skirt right as she was leaving the car. I didn't know at first. I drove around and kept spraying Febreze back there wondering why this smell won't go away. Then I looked back and saw she left me a farting gift. I'd be more upset, but damn it, that woman eats her fiber and it was a perfect turd. I respected that, but still charged her a $150 cleaning fee. I have bleach and sanitizer and paper towels for exactly this occasion. That is truly disgusting, and I can't imagine someone this gross. Farting gift. Grunt sculpture. Only upvoted because of farting gift. Picked up an Irish couple at a concert. The drive was an hour away. Looked back to merge into traffic and woman was going to town giving her man a blowjob. I turned up the music and just let them do their thing. Another ride picked up a super drunk woman. She was getting frisky, placing her hand on my leg as I drove. Made up an excuse that I had to shift. Standard. When we got to her place she asked, well, are you coming up? I told her I was in a committed relationship. She says so? Told her, I really can't. Just then I got a ping for another trip and that was that. She was beautiful though. Picked up an Uber pool once. The first was a woman. The next stop was a man. Heard them chatting, laughing. Then it got quiet, turned around and they were making out. Guy's stop was first. The woman got out with him. Reading the comments, I realized being hit on as a driver is a thing. Headline. Redditors from all over the world start an Uber career in a mission to get laid. Headline. They're still Redditors. It doesn't work out. Oh, now that's an idea. I drove for one freaking weekend for Uber in Concord, NH. Pick up downtown Concord by State Capitol and the destination is not far away. We set off and I should have known by the rancid smell this clown has either finger banged his itty a-hole or he green apple splattered his pants. It was my third fare, but I kept going. No one at destination. Wanted me to bring him to Keene NH, about 90 meters away. Told him no. Refused to get out. I called PD. PD came there and immediately tased him for spitting at me and cop. He exploded with it. It everywhere. He was in the backseat of my Jeep and somehow it was in my front seat. I called my wife, had it towed to a dealership. I back and forthed with Uber for almost a week before they finally relented to replace my carpet and seats, because that poo and smell wasn't coming out. Quit Uber. Frick rideshare. People imagine the future of driverless ride sharing will be a Tesla, while the nature of humans dictates that your driverless ride share will be like a bathtub with a plastic seat. Humans are dirty. I got molested by a drunk woman and had to kick her and all her friends out on the side of the road. Seems fair in my opinion. Pretty standard unfortunately. Ex-Uber driver here. Picked up 3 girls from the airport. They just came in from Miami. They were all originally from Peru and ranging from speaks English well, spoke half English to spoke almost zero English. They ask for my personal cell number so they can have me drive them places all weekend. I drive them to a couple places on Friday and Saturday, ending with driving them all to the wedding they had traveled for. On their way out of my car, the one who speaks English the best tells me that the one who spoke almost zero English thinks I'm really hot. I'm average to above average on a good day. I pick them up from the wedding reception a few hours later and bring them back to their Airbnb. The one who speaks zero English who thinks I'm hot hands me her phone from the back with Google Translate open and it says, want to get a drink? I say yes. She moves to the front seat and we keep handing the phone back and forth, speaking to each other, pick up a bottle of wine and head back to my place. One thing leads to another. We have this amazing connection, and it leads to us hooking up. I drive her back to her friends, still talking via Google Translate. She kisses me goodbye. The fact that's even possible nowadays is really outstanding, to be honest. Went to Tokyo recently knowing only 4 Japanese words, phrases, but had my phone with a speak to translation app. Was very, very fun. Would definitely recommend. Uber/Lyft driver here. Mostly it's horrid, rancid, nasty ass BO and sweat stained ass cracks on my seats pissing me off. I pick up some crusty people who smell like they not only haven't showered in 4 years, but also regularly fap walleting and skip wiping. A mix of the ex-soda and ass glands with some wafting in of sickly uric acid. I have a good sense of smell and I freaking hate it. That was very descriptive. I'm waiting for takeout. I was a taxi driver for 4 years while studying at the university. I'll never forget this guy I drove home during a night shift. In Germany it's common to have a chat with the cab driver, sometimes customers even tell you really private it, and this guy seemed completely normal to me. When we arrived at his house he asked me if I would like to have my dong sucked by him for 20 euros. And just to make it clear, that wasn't his price. He wanted to pay me 20 euros to suck my dong. Didn't saw that one coming. I refused respectfully. 50 euros then? I'm not gay, but 50 euros is 50 euros. How about 100? As an Uber driver? Grown man with a Lord Farquaad haircut. As an Uber passenger? A driver who hooked up with female passengers regularly. Claimed that having "I want to have as many kids as possible" in his driver bio turned women on to no end. As a dude with long hair who's been told I look a bit like Lord Farquaad, I'm freaking shaking right now. Lomfeo pics please. Put some respect in Lord Farquaad's name. Not me, but was asking my Phil this very question. He drives for Lyft. He told me that one time he was driving this nice young lady and 3 men to one destination. And being the sweet little retired Marine he is, he quietly asked her if she wanted a different location, or if she was okay. Her response is, "Oh yeah, I'll be fine, I have plenty of condoms." I just can't imagine somebody saying that to my Phil. This actually made me laugh out loud. A couple did a BJ at the back of my car. Did they at least ask you for permission? It's fine, as long as you swallow. I'm just interested in the tip. I have a worst NFSW passenger story. My friend recently told me about a woman in her social circle who was sexually assaulted on a Lyft trip in the US Pacific Northwest region. This story is definitely a bit out there and made me rethink how to be safer using rideshare apps. So, she got a lift home from a networking event and woke up the next morning in her own bed, sore, bruised, and with zero recollection of her evening after getting into the lift. Disoriented and confused, she tried to piece together events of the night before. She looked at her Lyft ride and saw she had been charged a couple of $100 for her ride, which should have only cost $20 or so. She called Lyft and asked about the charges. They explained it was so high because her trip had taken her on multiple stops and gone out of state. She was super confused and started to freak out as she had no recollection of the last night. She called a friend who took her to the hospital and she had a rape kit done. It tested positive for semen. She went to the police and Lyft. The Lyft driver was banned from the app, but disappeared soon after, so police couldn't make an arrest. She hired a pie who suggested they reenact the trip she took, according to the records Lyft had of her multi-state trip. Apparently, this triggered her memory and allowed her to remember being drugged and violently gang raped by multiple groups of men and her driver repeatedly. To this day the driver hasn't been caught and Lyft did little but refund her for the ride. I was pretty shocked and horrified by this story. I ride Lyft and Uber pretty regularly. Going forward, I will not accept food or drink that some drivers offer, no matter the gender of the driver. You never know if they've tampered with the food. You can easily make things look sealed or if they're working a side gig at the same time. Really freaking scary how far this can go. Whoa, this is scary. Thanks for sharing. I've never thought twice about accepting the bottles of water that some drivers provide. Of course I check that they are sealed bottles, but that doesn't guarantee no tampering. I've heard the same story, but I thought it happened in NYC. I've heard the same story, but it happened on SVU. Well, I am not a driver, but a rider from Pakistan. This one time I booked my Uber, sat in it and the driver started the ride. I sat on the passenger seat, since it is quite normal here to sit alongside driver. So he started the ride and just 10 minutes into the ride, His phone rang. He picked up and started talking in code language. I grew suspicious. But soon he started to yell and like cry, and started saying the person had died. I hit him and he died. No one was there, so picked him up and put him into the backseat of the car. I looked back and holy it, there was actually a guy lying, covered in some white sheet with stains of fresh blood all over, on the back seat. I started feeling very shaky, trembling all over. I asked him to stop in a really shaky voice, and he said he cannot do that. He will do it in some area where he will not be seen. I totally panicked and started to take control of the wheel to push him to stop. After few seconds of resistance, he stopped the car and started laughing, and said sir, it was a prank. We are YouTubers and we do pranks. Man, frick with your pranks. Man, Uber and their then competitor Careem in Pakistan is sketchy as frick. Never had anything this bad, but had tons of drivers and cars smaller than a Honda Fit that drove like absolute madmen. I mean, yes, everyone drives somewhat crazy there, but these guys would be passing left and right, excessively speeding and having many close calls. The only silver lining is that it's dirt cheap there if you are a Westerner like us, about $2 to $3 per ride on average. They also frequently cancel trips on you last minute after you tell them where to go. You tell them once you get in the car. There are pranks, and then there's just being an a-hole like those guys. Why would anyone laugh after that? Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now to make me happy.